And I'll say, the Son of God, knowing that he's the son or daughter of God, is inevitable. God is inevitable, and you cannot avoid him any more than he can avoid you. And this is me. You can only imagine that you can avoid God, or abandon God, or steal his authority away from him and express your own. The ego, continuing, the ego is afraid of the soul's joy because once you have experienced it, you will withdraw all protection from the ego and become totally without the investment of fear. I want to tell you something. When you decide to shift from getting to giving, to having your brother demonstrate your wholeness for you to you, and it is your pleasure to make him whole, not because that's what he wants, but because there's nothing more satisfying to do. It will bring up your fear of being vulnerable, because you will be abandoning your practice of self-protection. But if you will persist in caring enough to see to it that you never leave your brother at a disadvantage, you will begin to experience peace, because the peace you're giving your brother by not demanding from him what he cannot truly give you is the peace you become enveloped by. Continuing, your investment in fear is great now because fear is a witness to the separation, and your ego rejoices when you witness to it. Leave it behind. Do not listen to it, and do not preserve it. And this is where the self-discipline comes in. When the tendency is there to Jew your brother down on a deal, or take advantage of him on a deal, or to just engage in the deal to preserve your wholeness, or to substantiate what you think you need to have in order to feel secure, I'm sorry, I lost it. You will find yourself encircled by, embraced by, and imbued with the conscious experience of your invulnerability and your safety. Why? Because you gave it away to another. Continuing, listen only to God. And that can mean something as simple as listening for the impulse to be love. Listen to the impulse to come from the place of excellence in you. Listen, continuing, listen only to God, who is as incapable of deception as are the souls He created. All of you are actually incapable of deception. And the you that you think you are that is capable of deception is purely imaginary. And the brothers or sisters you see that you believe are capable of deception are purely imaginary. Because neither you nor they have the capacity to be independent of your source. And so you haven't accomplished it. And once you get this point, that none of you have accomplished being sinners, you will understand why all of you in an instant can be exonerated and healed of any of the effects of deception that you think you either brought on someone else or that someone else brought on you. You have got to be open to the experience of instantaneous correction of anything that you have seen that has been to your disadvantage or injury. Because if you don't believe that there can be instantaneous correction for no good reason, not because justice has been served, not because a penalty has been paid, but just because it isn't the truth of you or your brother, until you see that, you will continue to justify extracting a tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. Get. Make your brother responsible for your wholeness. This is an axiom, and I'm continuing. Release yourselves and release others. If you release yourself, you release others. If you release others, truly, you release yourself. And until you release each other from your mutually agreed upon definitions and your mutual agreements, you will not remember your wholeness and re-access your wholeness, and will unnecessarily remain bound in the dream. Again, continuing, release yourselves and release others. Do not present a false and unworthy picture of yourself to others, and do not accept such a picture of them yourselves. See, this is where a good teacher comes into play, because a good teacher is not only concerned with what he has to teach, but finds the student worthy and capable of embracing and embodying what's being taught. The ego has built a shabby and unsheltering home for you because it cannot build otherwise. And let's remember that what this really means is that the Christ that you are, the divine one that you are, who has chosen to express autonomy, has built a shabby and unsheltering home for yourself, because that's really the only thing you can do in a state of fear and in a sense of pissant tininess. So when it says the ego has built a shabby and unsheltering home for you, don't sit there self-righteously and say, yeah, my ego really doesn't like me. Yeah, my ego really is a bad guy. Well, that's a way of disowning your authority. You're doing it, and you're saying, I'm not doing it. And you convinced yourself, you're not doing it. And you ultimately succeed, or think that you succeed, in saying that you're not doing it by saying, I'm not the Christ. I'm not holy. I'm just a human being. I'm a human being with a brain in my head with synapses and electrical currents and what comes out of one's brain is an ego. All of the psychologists will tell me that. Oh, there are studies for years that tell me that I'm an ego, you know. So then something comes along, like metaphysics or the Course, and it says that you are not your ego. Oh, that's even better. Now you can really be mad at your ego. Oh, my ego did this, my ego did that. Damn, my ego. But you're still caught because you still have neglected to own who you are. You still are reluctant to say, I am the Christ. And you're still reluctant to be out from that place of excellence in you, which is your Christhood. And you still insist on operating on a get basis. You still continue to operate as though it's your brother's responsibility to demonstrate your wholeness for you. And so now, you're even more confused than ever. And your ego infrastructures have gotten even more complex because now there's you and your ego. But you know what? It isn't you, the Christ, yet. It isn't you, the one capable of utter, unsurpassable excellence. Oh yeah, well, things aren't that rough yet. I can exist a little bit longer without going that far, you see. And so your ego continues to build, or you continue as an unacknowledged Christ that has to be then an acknowledged ego, has built a shabby and unsheltering home for you because it cannot build otherwise, and things aren't tough enough yet for you to change. Dear. Do not try to make this impoverished house stand. Give it up. That isn't what it says here. Do not try to make this impoverished house stand. Its weakness is your strength. And that might be more clearly understood if we reverse it. Your strength, your divine strength, is its weakness. Only God could make a home that is worthy of His creations, who have chosen to leave it empty by their own dispossession. But the home is still there. The altar is still in the center of you. Your capacity to turn around toward that place of excellence, to learn of the Father what the truth is about everything, because your Father is you, your right mind. Only that is all it takes. And only that is what it takes to repossess your home. Continuing, yet His, God's home, will stand forever. Because because it's your very being. Continuing, and is ready for you when you choose to enter it, which means when you are ready to readmit to yourself that you're the Christ. That you are a place of excellence, being excellent, because you have no other real capacity. Of this, continuing, of this you can be wholly certain. God is as incapable of creating the perishable as the ego is of making the eternal. That's how diametrically opposed things are. That's how black and white things are. And ultimately, the blackness and whiteness of it is that everything is either real or unreal. And there ain't no in between. Of your egos, you can do nothing to save yourselves or others. But of your souls, you can do everything for the salvation of both. Humility is a lesson for the ego, not for the soul. The soul is beyond humility because it recognizes its radiance. It doesn't block it. And gladly sheds its light everywhere. Now the soul doesn't prance around the universe saying, "Oh, glory, glory, I'm spreading my light everywhere and blessing everyone. Oh, glory, glory, isn't this a wonderful experience? Oh, bliss, 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 bliss." You see. The soul is light. Illumination is spontaneous, inevitable. It doesn't spread its light for a purpose. To get. It doesn't be illumination for everyone's benefit or to make them happy so they'll be nice to the soul that's spreading the light. The soul is beyond humility because it recognizes its radiance. It recognizes itself in the radiance and gladly sheds its light everywhere. A better way than saying gladly sheds its light everywhere is that it finds absolutely no justification for withholding it. in that sense, it gladly sheds its light. It doesn't even consider a possibility that there might be some corner of infinity of the universe that it might withhold its light, that it might withhold itself. The meek, continuing, the meek shall inherit the earth because their egos are humble. And this gives them better perception. Well, humility is embodied in the abandoning of the determination to say, Father, I would rather see things my way, and turning back toward the altar. And naturally, if you're turning back to where the truth lies to be seen, you're going to have better perception, aren't you? Because you're going to be seeing truth more clearly. You're going to be having the experience of what it is. And you're also going to be having the clearer, not understanding or knowledge of love, but the experience of being that point where love bubbles forth into expression, again spontaneously and without a justification. When you're not looking at something, you can't see it. When you are looking at it, you can. And so the meek shall inherit the earth because their egos are humble, willing to look where they can see, and what? The inevitable happens. This gives them better perception. Simple, uncomplicated. The kingdom, continuing, the kingdom of heaven is the right of the soul, whose beauty and dignity are far beyond doubt, beyond perception, and stand forever as the mark of the love of God for His creations. In other words, that place of excellence in you is the mark of the love of God for you, for His creations, continuing, who are wholly worthy of Him and only of Him. Nothing else is sufficiently worthy to be a gift for a creation of God Himself. So the gifts of fear that you're all giving each other out of habit and out of self-preservation is unworthy. It's an unworthy gift for a creation of God, meaning you and each other. Continuing, I will substitute for your ego. That is, if you want to substitute. Oh, I know, things aren't tough enough yet. Things are going along fairly well. I know, I don't need you to substitute yet, but hey, Jesus, I'll call on you. I'm sure I'll call on you if the going gets really rough, but hey, right now, I don't want to rock the boat, okay? But I hear you. Again, I will substitute for your ego if you wish, but never for your soul. A father can safely leave a child with an elder brother who has shown himself responsible, but this involves no confusion about the child's origin, meaning the one left in the older brother's care. The older brother, can protect the child's body and his ego, which are very closely related, but he does not confuse himself with the father of the child because he does this. Although the child may, while he's in the older brother's care, look upon his older brother the same as he looks upon his father. I can be entrusted with your body and your ego simply because this enables you not to be concerned with them and lets me teach you their unimportance. That's why I'm here for you. That's why your guides are here for you. That's why the whole brotherhood that is awake is present for you on your behalf, so that you might set aside the habit of engaging the ego infrastructures, the mutually agreed upon definitions, and the fear that if you don't, you will die. So that you might be with me consciously and experience a stable and continuous relationship that at the least demonstrates to you experientially that you're safe no matter what your ego definitions are or what your ego fears are. I could not understand their importance to you if I had not once been tempted to believe in them myself. Well, you know what, it really is helpful if you believe that I really do exist and that I'm not just a figurehead of a major religion. And it really does help if, in addition to believing that I exist, you are willing to believe that I'm available to you directly in your mind, and that it's my desire to commune with you directly, to have a direct relationship with you, so that if you wish, you may shift your allegiance, ever increasingly, hopefully, from your ego to me, so that I might let you lean upon me so that you might get the feel of the movement of being from a different vantage point than the one you've been engaged in, which has been one of fear and self-protection. Let us undertake to learn this lesson together, so we can be free of them together. I need devoted teachers who share my aim of healing the mind. I need devoted teachers. Teachers of